The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were some of the most tragic events in history, and what I want to talk about today is whether or not they were major turning points in World War II's fate. But first, here's a bit of context. Preceding the outbreak of World War II, a group of American scientists, made partly of refugees from fascist European regimes, became concerned regarding the research happening on nuclear weapons in Nazi Germany. Eventually, in 1940, the US began funding its own atomic weapons program, codenamed the Manhattan Project. This was followed by the first successful testing of the world's first atomic bomb in the early hours of July 16, 1945, widely known as the Trinity test. The test, however, had been conducted by the time the Allied powers had already won against Germany. On the other hand, Japan showed no signs of succumbing to surrender. At first, General Douglas MacArthur and his fellow military commanders suggested conventionally bombing Japan, then following through with an invasion which would be codenamed Operation Downfall. This idea, however, was rejected when it was estimated that the US could incur casualties of up to 1 million. This was a risk which they were not willing to take. Since they had not chosen this option, a second option was put forward. This option involved the USA using an atomic bomb against Japan in order to bring about a fast end to the war. It was believed that this option was extremely beneficial to the USA as 1, it meant the war would most likely end quickly, and 2, it would place the US in a powerful position and that they would be the ones to determine what would happen post-war. So, on August 6, 1945, the United States of America, with the help of a B-29 bomber, dropped the world's first deployed atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, on Hiroshima, Japan. Immediately, approximately 80,000 people were killed. But this wasn't the total death count. No, tens of thousands of people passed away later by being exposed to massive amounts of radiation. A nuclear weapon similar to the one implemented in Hiroshima would be like being dropped in the sun. And as if that wasn't enough, 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb, codenamed the Fat Man, was deployed on Nagasaki. This killed an estimated 40,000 more people, with, again, more people passing away from extreme levels of radiation. Also adding to the damage, 90% of Nagasaki and Hiroshima's infrastructure was wiped out as a direct result. On top of that, people who survived the explosions were afflicted with side effects in the form of deformities, like the ones you can currently see. On top of that, people who were far away and saw the explosion go off were instantly blinded due to the eye-piercing brightness. So overall, this was one of Japan's darkest days in history. Following this event, Japan's Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender, referencing a new and most crucial bomb. Now, let's move on to the main topic of this video. Should the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki be considered major turning points in World War II? By now, we've established that Japan surrendered shortly after the atomic bombings and even cited the two events. But they may have not been the major reason for Japan's surrender. Another reasonable argument is that Japan was pressured into surrendering due to the approaching Soviet Union, who seemed very threatening. The invasion of Manchuria played a key role in this. The Soviet army wiped out the 800,000-strong Japanese army stationed in Manchuria within days. This demonstrated not only the power of the Soviet army, but also that Japan should consider surrendering before anything progressed further. This is the point that historian Ward Wilson was trying to make when he stated that
What really happened is that Japan's leaders saw that the Soviet Union had entered the war and decided that that was strategically decisive, and they surrendered. New research shows that it apparently was not the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
whether or not this is true is debatable. When Ward mentions new research, he doesn't cite anything or give any reference as to what specific type of research was conducted. In turn, his statement has been left solely as a statement and cannot be proven until he provides further evidence. Personally, I believe that Japan surrendered due to mainly the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Hirohito himself stated that,
もう日本をテクノーくべき不難はもとより尋常にあらず汝市民の中将も尽力これを知るしかれども陳は自分の赴くところ耐え難きを
Although he might be slightly exaggerating here, I believe that this is enough evidence to conclude that Japan surrendered from World War II mainly due to the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in turn ending the war. This makes these two cataclysmic events major turning points in World War II. Thanks for watching.